Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly and we did it. We are on the final layout in this series of 5 Gnomes for Autumn layouts. We have completed layouts 1 through 4, and I'll link all of those process videos up in the description, as well as the full peek of all 10 pages, which is the workshop share. So we did it, yay! So if you are just tuning in, if you would like to start back at layout number 1, it starts with all of the bits and pieces and shows how we created all the little bits for this entire workshop. So a quick little recap, we are using the Gnomes for Autumn product bundle, which includes the paper pack and sticker sheet, the coordinating cardstock, the gnome thin cut, the Gnomes for Autumn stamp and thin cut, and the Gnomes for Autumn card making stamp. All of that is included in the bundle, as well as the cork shapes that we use within this workshop throughout all of the pages. In addition, some of the pages, including tonight's page, include some lined leaves, which I did a few little treatments on in the first video. And then I also added the September-October season mix-ins, which launch on September 1st, just around the corner here. Added some of my own Cricut cuts, as well as some golden Rod Stickles, some gold shimmer brush, and some inking treatment. So here we are. This is what we have left to work with. So we have hardly anything at all in terms of our bits. If you remember on video number 1, my little junk gypsy tray was filled. We had 8 gnomes when we started. We have 1 left. We had all of these filled up with Cricut cuts. We have 2 little stumps left. We had a huge pile of stamps and thin cuts. We have none left. And we had a huge pile of these lined leaves thin cuts, and we have 5 left. So let's see what we can do. I love a challenge. So we're going to start with 2 12 by 12 white daisy bases. For our striped piece, we have 2 6 by 12 with the stripes going vertically. We have 2 of those orange zip strips and 2 orange stickers. So 2 of these strips are stickers from the sticker sheet, and 2 of those are actually the limeade crisscross pattern, orange on one side. So the orange side are the stickers, and then we have the gnome piece. We have a 5.5 by 5.5 for the left page and a 4.5 by 10 for the right page. And then we have some of the pumpkin leaf pattern, which is 5.5 by 5.5. We're going to do a couple 4.5 by 4.5 scarlet photo mats. And then we're also going to do a, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, 2 scarlet mats. So for photos, we're going to have 4 that are 4 by 4 and 2 that are 3 1/4 3 by 4. So 4 4 by 4, 2 3 by 4, and those are the pieces that we're going to use. So just lay out my idea here. When I get to the last layout of a series, especially we had 8 wow pages with a lot of detail, lot of added treatments and techniques. And when I get to the last page, I am determined. I'm determined to make whatever I have left work. Now, we have the stamps and thin cuts. We have the gnome thin cut. We have the lined leaves stamp and thin cut. We have the card making stamp and thin cut. And we have a little bit of extra paper. So we can create a ton more stuff, right? We could create any kind of layout we want by going back to the drawing board and creating bits and pieces. But I love to be stubborn. I love to try to use as many stickers off of the sticker sheet as possible, to use up all the pieces that I guesstimated that I would need at the beginning of the workshop and just make it. I have had someone, my fearless leader, tell me that necessity breeds creativity. When you are stuck and you don't have a way to turn, you get more creative. So let's see what we can do with this. It's not going to be a tough one tonight. It's going to be pretty simple because we don't have much pieces left. So I wanted to toggle those 2 stumps stumps and have our little girl gnome peeking out. And I think we have 5 leaves left. Not a lot of color. We have only some toffee leaves, I believe, and some espresso leaves is all we have left. If you didn't tune in to the first layout in the series, that's where I talked about the treatments that we did on the leaves. We inked them with a little toffee. We stamped them tone on tone. So we stamped the espresso leaves with espresso, the toffee leaves with toffee, whatever color of a leaf we had, we stamped it in that color, inked the edges with toffee, and rubbed a little golden Rod Stickles on the top. That's the treatment that we did to the lined leaves stamp and thin cuts. Now I'm just looking what I have here for stickers. Of course, I'm going to use that cute banner. And then I decided I wanted to use the Home Sweet Home sticker in the middle of that banner. I have a couple title options left, which usually doesn't happen. Usually by the time we get to the end of a sticker sheet, we've used up all the titles and it's a little tricky. But we actually have 2 of them. I end up making the more pumpkin colored, scarlet colored sticker work for the title on this one. I have 3 leaves left. I laugh at myself because I just get determined. I'm going to make this work. And then when I am done, I have nothing to put away because I've used it all up. And I love that feeling. It's such a, I don't know, an accomplished feeling that you've made it work. So yeah, I know that we'll probably want to do a little bit of inking just because we've done some inking in the background on all of the 8 other pages. And also we have some white showing up there that we can add just a little glow again, like we did on the last layout. Now the last layout, we used the pumpkin ink and we are using that again here. We're going to just do a little rubbing in some of the white spots that are going to show. Over here on the left, the little bits in between the stumps is going to show a little bit. Over here on the upper right is a blank white spot that that kind of the pattern paper will stop abruptly before that. And then over here up above the banner is going to be like a white space as well. And so, and then across the bottom as a glow behind the title piece and the leaves, I think it would be really great to have a little bit of a glow down here as well. Just to kind of coordinate the theme all the way through to the 10th page. So I hope that you've followed along in this series from the beginning and that you've been having fun creating all of these gnomes for autumn layouts. We're going to use the gold shimmer brush again. And I am speeding this section up quite a bit. I have no idea why the splattering was taking me so long. I think my shimmer brush is about empty. So I think I was sort of struggling to get enough of the gold glitter. So I'm definitely going to order a new one after I'm done with this series. I think gold, probably clear gold and black are my most favorite shimmer brushes, my most used. I love a lot of the other ones and they lend themselves to whatever I happen to be doing and I do use them, but I would say my gold and my clear and my black are the ones that I replace the most often. Maybe the sapphire and maybe some of the lighter blues or even the citrus yellow probably would be second in line, but first in line would definitely be I love the gold. Gold to me goes with everything. And so I'm sorry about speeding that up so fast, but it was taking so long to do that simple splatter. And you've watched me do it on the 8 previous pages. And most of you that follow close to my heart are very familiar with shimmer brush splatters. If you're not, we have our shimmer brushes in a variety of colors. And they're just so fun to use as splatter backgrounds. You can actually color on irresistibles with shimmer brushes. You can do a little bit of watercoloring with shimmer brushes. There's so much that you can do. So we're going to place this piece on the 3-inch mark. So it is a 6-inch piece, and we're going to put the top of the stripe at the 3-inch mark. We're going to put one of the strips flush on the bottom, which is the orange sticker strip. Now I took the sticky off of the back of that, and I had used my anti-static pouch to take the sticky off the back, just because when I was trying to figure out the layout, I didn't quite know what I was going to do with that, and I wanted to be able to move it around and experiment with it. I did come fully prepared with this layout, and most of the things, not the bits, but most of the things I knew I was going to do, because I hardly had any pieces left, and I sort of had to figure out what we had left. And I left about a 1/2 inch between the sticker on the bottom and the strip, the limeade strip that we're adding, just to add that little bit of interest with the stripe showing in between. I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch edge for the gnome paper around the bottom corner, and a 1/2 inch edge around the corner for the pumpkin leaf paper, and it's going to work perfectly. The two corners are going to touch, and it's going to be just perfect. And then I'm going to add the scarlet photo mat with the 4x4 photo on it to the pumpkin, and then the scarlet photo mat with the 4x4 photo on it to the gnome mat, or the gnome piece. And then over on the right, we're going to repeat that and put that stripe piece in place, again 3 inches down. And we're going to add those same strips in the same spot as we did on the left page on the right page. This is going to be a pretty pattern-oriented layout. Even though it's my own pattern, made up pattern, it's pattern oriented, where it's sort of balanced. And a lot of my Sparkle and Shine workshops, meaning my workshops that have Cricut cuts, don't have a pattern orient to them. I mean, I usually try to start with a pretty generic, simple base piece when I'm adding Cricut elements and layering with thin cuts. I don't do a lot of fancy base work, just because it doesn't show when you add all of those dimensional elements. There's a time and a place for it, and I absolutely love pattern-oriented layouts in my Simply Scrappin' style. It's all about the patterns in that one, and doing lots of rich patterns on the bases, because that's going to be the bulk of your layout, where the bulk of my Sparkle and Shine are going to be all about the bits, and all about the added bits. And so I try to start with a pretty simple base. So I love that I actually had that whole piece of stripe left. That doesn't usually happen at the end of a workshop, but we did add the September-October season mix-ins, which stretched this. So I did have probably bigger pieces left on this one than I normally do. And then we're also doing 10 pages instead of 12, which I normally do 12. So this is going to be a little bit, look a little wonky. It's going to have some added space at the bottom. And I ended up liking that. I first kind of tried to take it apart to see if maybe I should have put a 4x6. And in hindsight, if I had made that gnome piece a little longer, I could have done a 4x4 and a 4x6. But I actually wanted more of that gnome paper to show. It's darling, and not much of it is showing at all. And so I ended up going back to the 4x4 and the 4x4. I don't know if I sized that gnome piece because that's all I had left, because there's just a little bit left, or if I actually cut that gnome piece thinking that that's what I wanted to do. But it looks a little imbalanced because there's going to be extra on the bottom left over, and I actually like it that way. I like how that peeks out across the bottom, and then we're going to have a lot of fillers across the bottom of that with the title, and so it won't bother you at all. I don't think that that's a little less paper at the top than there is at the bottom. So I've added foam tape to The Leaves Are Falling, Autumn is Calling, and that's going to be the title that I chose. So it's kind of fun. You have a couple stickers left on the sticker sheet when we're all done, including that cute gnome sticker. I tried everything to use it. I really wanted to use it, but it just didn't happen to fit in these layouts. You may be able to make it fit. So we have only the 3 leaves left from the lined leaves that we created on video number 1 in the series. I can't believe we're on video 5 already. So fun to do a full series. I would love to hear from you and know if you've been liking the little series videos that I've been doing that have multiple parts, or if you prefer just having random ones that aren't related. I've really loved doing the series because I've loved starting with a bulk amount of product, like a product bundle, using that same bundle for a series of 5 videos without adding other things. So what we started with in the very beginning is what we used for every layout throughout the whole thing. So if you start with that, you should be able to be golden on creating every single layout in this series with no problem at all if you follow my dimensions. So it should work out for you great. And that's sort of feels accomplished to me that we started, and maybe that's how I got into workshops. I really like that fulfillment of starting with something and using it all the way through and finishing with it. It's super fun to me. So now I've put foam tape on the back of the banner pieces and I'm arranging those across the top. I've tucked those little leaves in on the right. Now let's work on the left a little bit. So I have described this in, I think, the first video, but I made the tree stumps. They are from one of our Cricut collections, and I made it with light and dark, made them with light and dark espresso, and I rubbed a little toffee ink over them to kind of dirty them up a little bit and make them look a little dirty and outdoorsy. And then I added the little gnome. Now, because there was a little tiny piece of the limeade paper left, for some reason, I kept gravitating toward that. I love the brown hat from the Season Mix-Ins, and I made 2 gnomes with that hat. This one and then a boy gnome. But for this particular layout with what ended up being left over, it's always hard to predict what's left over when you start creating the first layout, right? I really feel like the limeade stripes in the striped paper, there's that limeade sticker up in the upper right banner, there's the limeade crisscross strip. It just sort of like fit. Like I really felt like I wanted her hat to be the limeade pattern. So you could leave it the original, you know, how we made the original, or you could change it up. There's a couple other little kind of plain patterns. We have a little bit of Season Mix-Ins left. We have a couple full sheets of Season Mix-Ins left that I feel are going to go really well with our up and coming Christmas line that's going to debut in September. So I kind of saved those aside in case I am going to use those for something down the road. But there were really only 2 Season Mix-In sheets that I didn't use in this, I think. I think I used at least bits and pieces of all of them. And I, of course, used up almost all of the red gingham and then the crisscross brown. All right, I'm looking at this mess. Here's what we got. And so I love the pumpkin and spice sticker. I can't find a way to make it work because it's too wordy on the right with all the words that we have. And I couldn't quite make it fit on the left. I love, love, love the little gnome sticker, but I couldn't make that work either. And here we have another sticker that I was kind of like playing around with. So I think there were 3 or 4 stickers on the sticker sheet that I couldn't use. I usually make it a game to use every single one. So if you find a spot for it, you go for it. I end up using the oval sticker and then the shortbread arrow sticker up at the top of the left photo. I end up using a couple of the small round stickers over on the right side mixed in with the leaves on The Leaves Are Falling. And then I'm going to end up making, cutting apart the long espresso banner and cutting it into 4 little banners to be able to add a little decorative element underneath The Leaves Are Falling sticker. And I end up really liking that because it just seems like there's that little gap there, that little white gap between those leaves on the right page and then the bottom of the gnome paper. But I never worry about that. There's always a little something that you can stick under there and it works out great. So now I popped up the flower and apple sticker, oval sticker on top of the shortbread arrow, and that's just perfect. That just added that little element up there to make it not look quite so plain. And now I'm just snipping this this longer banner into about 4 parts. I'm not measuring, I'm kind of guesstimating, and it looks like maybe it's about, oh, it looks like maybe they're about 3/4 of an inch long each. And then I'm dovetailing the bottom, and I'm making a debauchery of it because I didn't take the sticky off the back of the sticker like I normally do with the anti-static pouch. So normally creating a dovetail that would take seconds, I'm like struggling here on camera for all the world to see, which is no problem. I'm used to embarrassing myself. My mom used to say, if you can't laugh at yourself, then no one else will. It's like, I love creating with a sense of humor. If you take yourself too seriously, it becomes stressful, and paper crafting is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be your therapy and your release. So, okay, I'm getting happier. I hope you're getting happy, and I'm really happy that we have completed a full 10 pages after this, and I hope you've loved the series. Please shout out, give me a shout out. Now, I've mentioned this in the couple previous videos that if you're just popping on and you happen to have the product bundle already from another maker, or you are a maker and you just want to jump in and follow along in the series and have fun creating, I love that. I hope you will. But if you need a little more direction and you feel a little bit out there, like you want a little bit more help with the series, I have linked in the description my options. It takes you to my blog, and I have some options for a cheat sheet, which has some sizes on it, and a design space link with all of the Cricut cuts in it that I used for all 10 pages of this series, including some custom creating that I did to make the little beard and to do a couple other little things. And that's included in my design space. You do have to own the collections used for the design space file to work. And I think there's one close to my heart collection that the stumps came off of, and I think the rest of them, maybe the stitched frames I grabbed off the close to my heart one, or I made the stitched frames myself. I'll link those stitched frames again. It seems like I link those often because I did a video on how you can create stitched frames in minutes yourself, but it also includes my custom Cricut writing and other things like that in that. And then if you are not a Cricut person, but you really want the Cricut cuts, I have a Cricut option in which I make the Cricut cuts for you, which requires a purchase on my shop site, but no purchase necessary if you just want to scrap along. I love it and I encourage it. I love sharing the love of paper crafting. So I'm just using the same marker that we used in the last layout, in the first couple layouts, and I'm just adding some cute little dots, like boop, 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 3 little dots here and there. I'm adding, I'll be adding the golden Rod Stickles again as the dots. I'm trimming off a little piece of the apple tag, and I want to find a little perfect spot for that. Just again, trying to go through those stickers. I'm looking again. Can we get rid of any more? I feel pretty happy. I feel pretty happy with it. I think we did good for what I would say is a leftover layout. When you get to the last of a really heavy duty series and you've done, went full on doing all kinds of things and treatments, and you get to the last one, it just feels good when you can make something useful and fun out of it. And I can really see some of my cute fall photos on this layout. And I love that there's 6 photo opportunities. So we're just adding those golden stickles now. Hey, if you haven't already subscribed, I would love you to subscribe. Hit subscribe, hit the follow and the like button, shoot me a comment, and hang out some more with me. More great, wonderful tutorials, workshop shares, Cricut tips, Cricut tutorials, and lots of things to come. Thank you for sharing the love of paper crafting with me and hanging out with me tonight and for this 5-part series. Happy scrapping, everyone. Bye-bye.